Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah. In this video, we'll be making these layered greetings cards. Now this is a free SVG available from my blog, craftwithsarah.com, or I'll drop the exact link in the description of the video. There are 4 different card designs to choose from. They've all got these lovely flowers in the background, but the wording is different. So this one here says, love you. And then there's one which says, just for you. And I've cut them all in slightly different colours for different effects, and I'll show you how to do that later. The third one is a thank you card. And then the fourth one, of course, is happy birthday. So let's take a look at how to download these free SVGs from my website. To download the free SVGs for these greetings cards, click the link in the description of this video and it will take you to this page on my website. If you then scroll down the page, you'll see a pale green box with a link to log into your account. If you already have an account, then you can just sign in and then you'll be able to see the download link. If you don't have an account, click on register for free and then you can sign up for a free account. After you've logged in, the box changes, so now instead of a login form, you have a download button. Simply click that and the file will start downloading to your computer. Another way to find the free files, as well as all my other free files, is to click the free SVGs link in the top navigation. If you scroll down this page, you can see you've got all of my different designs in there with download links. And then when you scroll down, you'll see the layered greetings cards in there too. So then you can either click to download the file or click to read the tutorial. Once you've downloaded the file, you'll need to unzip it. This will depend on whether you're using a Windows or a Mac or if you're on a mobile device. On the tutorial blog post that I linked to in the description of this video, I've got links on how to unzip on every single type of device, so check that out if you're not sure how to do it, but I'll show you how to do it on a Windows computer now because that's what I'm using. So you can see my file I've downloaded. It's called layeredcards.craftwithsarah.zip. At the moment, if I double clicked in there to look at the files and then chose the card I wanted, you can see there's an SVG file in there, but it won't work if I try and upload that to Design Space because it's in a zip folder. To unzip it, simply right click on the folder and press Extract All. You can then choose where you want to save it on your computer and you can give it whatever name you want. I like to tick Show Extracted Files when complete. So then I can click extract and it's given me a new pop-up window so I can see the files are in here. And if I go back to my downloads, I've now got 2 versions. The first one, which is the zip one, you know that because it says .zip on the end and the picture of the folder has a little zip down it. I've then got my unzipped one, which doesn't end in that .zip, and the folder just shows the little yellow picture. So this is the one that I'll want to look in to find the files to upload into Design Space. I've split each card out into the different versions, and then you can double click in there to see the files. Each file comes in 3 different file types. DXF is for silhouette machines, PNG is for hand cutting, and SVG is the one that you want to upload into Design Space. So let's see how to do that. Here is Design Space and I've started a new project, so I can click into Upload and then Upload Image. I can then find the files on my computer either by clicking Browse or by opening it in a Windows Explorer menu and dragging it in. This part is really important. Once you've chosen the file that you want to use, make sure you choose the file that starts SVG in the file name. If you try any of the others, they won't work. So SVG is the one you want. I'm going to click and drag, and then it will show up looking like this and it will say cut image underneath. If yours shows an error message or if it says print instead of cut, that means you've uploaded the wrong file. So just click cancel and try again and make sure you upload the one that starts SVG. I can now click upload. And now this has appeared in my recently uploaded images, so I can click on it to get the green border and then press insert images on the bottom right. It should load in at the correct size, and this is to make a 5x7 inch card. So my width is 7 and the height is 10 inches because obviously we've got the front and the back of the card here that we're going to fold in half. Before you cut it out, have a little look on the layers on the right hand side. I formatted these SVG files so it should already have the score line set to be score and it should be attached to the bottom layer. So what we're looking for in the layers panel is a group of layers that says attach on it, and then there's a line underneath which says score, and then one underneath which is basic cut, which is the grey rectangle that forms the base of the card. If yours looks like this and you can see it says attach and it says score, then there's nothing else you need to do at this point. If yours doesn't say that, so if you don't see the word attach, and if this line is set to basic cut instead of score, then there are a few extra steps you'll need to do. Click on the score line if yours doesn't say score, and go into operation on the top and change it so that it does say score. If you don't do that, then your Cricut will try and cut that line, which is not going to go well because it'll cut your card in half. So I'm just going to show you what yours might look like if the attaching hasn't worked either. So if yours looks something like this and you can't see that word attach, click on the score line in the layers panel, press Ctrl and Shift on your keyboard and choose the main card base, and then press attach down at the bottom. Now it says that word attached, so we're good to go, but to move it underneath the other layers so we can still see them, go to Arrange, Center Back. So like I said, you probably won't have to do those extra steps as I have formatted the SVG so that it should already be attached and already be set to a score line. But Design Space can sometimes be a little bit funky, so I thought I'd show you how to do it, just in case yours doesn't load in as I had intended it to load in. Alright, so now we can start playing with the colours. I like to change the colours in Design Space before I send it to my Cricut machine just to make sure I'm happy. So let's click on the layer of the base card and then go into the colours, and I think I'm going to do this in 3 shades of purple. So my card will be the lightest purple in there, and then I'm going to click the red layer in the layers panel, change that to a darker purple, and then click the black layer and make that an even darker purple still. And I like how that's looking. Another thing you can do, which I think looks really effective, is to turn the base layer to white and then have a colour for the middle layer, for example blue, and then the top layer also cut that from white. And I just really like how that looks because it makes it stand out really well and you get that burst of colour. But whatever colours you want to make your card is absolutely fine. Of course, it's completely up to you. When you're happy with the colours, click Make It on the top right. You'll see we've got our card here with the score line across the middle, and then I've got the other piece which we'll do in white, and then the blue. If you want to, you can change the paper size. So by default, it's going to try and cut from 12 by 12. I don't have much 12 by 12 inch paper, so I tend to go into this drop down on the left and change everything to A4. That's just what I have most of in my craft stash. You'll need to change it for every single colour that you're using. When you're happy with the paper size, click Continue, and then Design Space will connect to your Cricut machine and you can cut it out. I'm not going to show you that bit because I don't actually have my Cricut machine turned on right now. So go ahead, cut everything out, and then keep watching to find out my super trick for taking the cardstock off the mat without it curling, and then I'll show you how to stick the card together. When you're cutting cardstock with a Cricut, you might find that when you pull it off the mat, the card all sort of curls and folds and becomes hard to work with. There is a trick to stop it doing that, and that is to, instead of pulling the card off of the mat like this, instead turn your mat upside down and then slowly bend your mat away from the card and use your hand to hold your card flat along your craft table. By doing that, it means that your card comes off perfectly flat and doesn't have any bends or creases in it. So I've got my card front here and the score line is going along the middle. So let's turn it upside down and then I'm just going to fold it down that score line. So I'm going to be really careful to get it exactly on that line. And then push down to get a good crisp fold. And then I know that that is perfectly folded in half and it's all nice and straight and ready to add the other layers on top. Here are my layers all ready to be stuck together. So for this colour scheme, I've chosen 3 colours of purple, and then I've got the darkest one as the base card, the lightest one as the middle layer, and then the middle colour as the top. And I think that gives quite a nice effect on there. I'm going to stick each layer together with 3D foam pads or foam squares. I like this because it gives you a little bit of depth between the layers, so your design ends up looking more 3D and a little bit more special. But if you wanted to, you could glue them together instead, or you could do a combination and maybe use foam pads for the middle layer and then glue for the top layer, so it's completely up to you. My favourite foam squares are from Dot and Dab. I get them on Amazon. There's a link in the description of the video. These are quite big, so I do need to cut them smaller to fit into my design. But the reason I like these more than any others that I've tried is that it's really, really easy to peel the tops off of the foam pads to get that stickiness underneath. Some pads I've tried, it's really hard to get that top layer off and it ends up taking ages. But these ones, it's really easy. So that's why I choose these, even though they're big and I need to cut them. I prefer them over the smaller ones you can get. If you're using glue, then the glue I recommend is called Collal. It's a transparent glue, it dries see-through, and it's a solvent glue, so use it in a ventilated area. But the reason that I love this glue is it doesn't bend or warp the card when you put it on. So some glues, like PVA glue, you might find if you put a lot of it on cardstock, it can kind of affect the card underneath and wrinkle it up, whereas this doesn't do that. And then to make it even easier for intricate card projects, I put the glue into these needle tip applicators. Again, this is all from Amazon. And these have a really thin nozzle on them, so they can get into even the smallest spaces. Now, this glue is available in the UK. If you're in the USA, then some similar glues that will not affect your card are Barely Art Glue and Art Glitter Glue. Again, I'll drop the links to those in the description of the video. But as I said, I'm going to do foam pads for each layer. So let's get started with that. I'm going to take the middle layer and then turn it upside down so I'm looking at the back, and then add the foam pads. I've already cut these ones in half, so I know they're going to fit. When you're adding the foam pads, you want to make sure you've got a good amount all the way around the edge, so it's a good stick and it's not going to come up at any of the sides. I'm also going to make sure that none of the foam pads go over the edge of the card, otherwise you'll see them when you turn it over and stick it onto the base card. So I'm just going through and doing 3 pieces on each of the edges. And then you also want to add some foam into the middle of the design. And this is important because it stops it from sagging when we stick it on. If we only had the pads around the edge, then when we stuck this on, because the middle bit wouldn't have any support, it would sort of bend downwards and not have that 3D effect. So by putting foam pads in the middle, you're giving it the support it needs to be 3D and consistent all the way across. So that should be enough. Now I can peel the tops off so that the tops of my foam pads get sticky. I think that's all of them. So now I can bring my base card in, and then this will line up exactly the same. It's the same size as the base card. So make sure your card's opening the correct way so you don't stick it upside down. I have done that before, which was not very clever. And then I'm going to just line it up. I find it easier to do it along the bottom, but it's really up to you what side you start with. And then I like to just sort of lie it down gently to begin with. Just check I'm happy that that's all lined up, and then push it down to stick all the foam pads when you're sure that you've got it in the right place. And by lying it down gently to start with, it means if you need to, you can pull it up quite easily because it won't be stuck firm yet. So that's that layer. Now let's move on to the top one. This one is a lot narrower, which is why you might find that glue is easier for this one than the foam pads, but it is still wide enough that you can add the foam. So I'm going to do it with foam. I've got some more foam pads that I've cut in half, but I'm actually going to cut them in half again to make them really narrow. This is because I definitely don't want the foam going over any of the gaps, otherwise you'll see it. So just like we did before, I'm going to go around the edge first, making sure I've got a good amount of foam on here. And these foam pads are quite good. If you put them in the wrong place, you can normally peel them up and move them. As long as you sort of do it straight away, they're pretty good at being repositional. So all the way around the edge. It does take a little bit of time, but it's worth it to make sure you've got a good amount of foam pads on there, that you're going to have a really nice stick and it's not going to come off or dislodge or sag in the middle. So let's just keep adding these. Even though this top layer is narrower, you can see there are still quite a few places where your foam pads can go, particularly in the letters. The flowers are a bit more tricky as they are really narrow, but the letters have the thicker strokes on them. So there we go. I actually would like a little bit in these flowers. Let's try cutting these even narrower. And again, the reason I want a little bit of foam in these flowers is so that they're not going to sag when I stick it on. But that should be enough. I don't really need any in the smaller, teeny tiny flowers, as they should be okay. Right, let's peel the tops off of all the foam pads to release the sticky. And now I can bring my card back and I'm going to layer this on top. And again, it will line up exactly along the edges. Sometimes just kind of doing this gently so you're not bending the card or causing lines in it, but it can just help kind of make it a bit more flexible. So that's why I was doing that, in case you were wondering. So again, I'm just gently laying this down to check it's in the right place, which it is, so then I can push down to seal all those foam pads. And then that is my card all finished. So I will probably put an insert in it, a white insert, so that it's easier to write on, because this is quite a dark colour, so my pen won't show up very much. But I tend to add the inserts when I'm about to send the card so that I can customize a message and print it out on my computer. You can also add extra embellishments if you want to, like maybe some stickers or some sort of glitter or Nuvo drops or toppers, whatever you want to put on the front. You can add that for that extra special something. So as I said, for this design, I tried it with the 3 shades of purple. For the other free SVGs that match this design that I've got on my blog at craftwithsarah.com, I tried some other colours. So for this one, I've done the bottom layer and the top layer in white and then used a bright colour for the middle layer. I think this one's really effective because the colour really pops out from the white and I like how that looks. I also tried the opposite effect for this one, which says thank you. So I've got 2 orange layers, the bottom layer and the top one, and then the middle one is white. I don't think this one is as effective because if you put these next to each other, the Just For You one tends to pop, and I think it's brighter and easier to read than this one, but it's still a nice option. And then finally, I did the Happy Birthday design. Again, this is 3 shades of the same colour, so it's 3 shades of green, but I put them in a different order to the purple one we've just made. So for this Happy Birthday one, I've got the darkest colour on the top, and then the middle colour is the middle and the lightest colour is the bottom. So again, I'm not sure it's quite as effective as the purple one because the colours blend into each other a bit more. But of course, it's all completely dependent on those colours of card that you chose. If I'd have done a slightly darker colour for the top of the happy birthday, I think that would have probably looked better. But here you go, you've got the 4 different designs, and all of these can be done in whatever colours you want. Each one is 3 layers and they all match perfectly to make a lovely set of cards. The SVGs are all available for free at craftwithsarah.com, or follow the link in the description of this video for the direct page where you can get them. I hope you've enjoyed making these layered greetings cards with me. Don't forget, the free SVGs for all these designs are available at craftwithsarah.com, or check the link in the description for the exact page to download them. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more card making, free SVGs and Cricut craft tutorials. Thank you for watching. Bye!